The human homeworld watched in horror as Emperor Janus gave the order to burn a dozen human colonies unless Earth surrendered immediately. Crowds of humans saw the holofeeds as cat-like aliens rain down plasma bombs, with explosions tearing across human settlements and churning human flesh. It was 2157, and humanity had spread to dozens of star systems in recent decades, but remained a minor power compared to the vast Cassan Empire. The feline Cassan ruled a third of the galaxy with an iron fist. When Ethan Kennedy, Earth's ambassador, was urgently summoned to the gleaming Cassan throne world of Phyllis Prime, he knew something was very wrong. The air was choked with tension as Emperor Janus, a proud and ruthless ruler, furiously accused humans of attacking a Cassan colony and slaughtering thousands. "You dare deny this act of war? We have clear evidence." Human energy weapons were found all over the blast sites. Janus slammed his clawed fist on the throne. Janus presented footage of burned Cassan bodies and the remnants of powerful human blaster rifles. But Ethan's blood ran cold. He knew without a doubt the evidence was fabricated. "Your Majesty, I assure you, humanity does not possess such advanced weaponry. We are a peaceful." "Silence," Janus roared. "Your denials mean nothing. The Cassan Empire will have justice and vengeance. Earth will submit to our rule or burn." Ethan's heart raced as the horrible realization hit him. This was all an elaborate setup to justify war and the conquest of humanity. Fear gripped his chest as he was roughly escorted out. Back on Earth, frantic emergency sessions of the United Nations Security Council were underway. Earth's leaders already knew the grim truth. Humanity's modest fleet of a few hundred ships was no match for the Cassan armada of 10,000 advanced warships. Ethan took the speaker's podium, his voice grave. "I'm certain the Cassans will invade regardless of the facts. They fear our rapid rise and want to conquer us before we grow too powerful. You've all seen the footage. They're already bombarding our outer colonies. We face a terrible choice now." The council room was dead silent, all eyes locked on Ethan. "We either surrender Earth and submit to a cruel occupation, abandoning our way of life, and dooming our children to slavery under Cassan claws." Ethan clenched his fist. "Or we fight. We fight this impossible war with every ounce of human courage and ingenuity. And if our worlds must burn, then we make the Cassans drown in rivers of their own blood to take them." Murmurs rippled through the council, swelling into shouts of support. Earth's President Luran rose and took Ethan's hand. "Ambassador Kennedy is right," she declared. "I will address the people of Earth and make our defiance stand clear." An hour later, President Luran appeared before the world, broadcasting on every screen. Her steely eyes flashed as she spoke. "People of Earth, today we face the greatest threat in human history. The Cassan Empire, jealous of our freedom and progress, has fabricated a vicious lie to justify humanity's conquest. They demand our immediate surrender under pain of planetary annihilation." Billions watched with bated breath as Luran raised a clenched fist. "We will not yield. If the Cassans want our worlds, they will pay in fire, blood, and ashes. Any invaders will be met with total war and no mercy. Send this message to Emperor Janus. You may burn our colonies, but you'll have to glass Earth itself before we kneel. I call on every free human for the mobilization and sacrifice ahead. No price is too high for our liberty." As the broadcast ended, a feverish wave of defiance and grim purpose swept the planet. Millions enlisted for the monumental war effort as Earth's industries and shipyards roared to life. The Cassan fleet loomed at the edges of human space, awaiting the final order to attack. The stage was now set for a cataclysmic confrontation that would decide humanity's fate: submission and slavery, or freedom and survival. No matter the odds, Earth would not go quietly. The battle begins. As the Cassan warships loomed in the void near Mars, Ethan Kennedy clutched the armrests of the command chair aboard the U.S. Defiant. The bridge crew moved with controlled urgency, relaying orders and status updates. "Enemy fleet closing, Admiral," The tactical officer called out, estimating 10,000 ships. Ethan's eyes narrowed. The human fleet, a mere 1,000 strong, faced impossible odds, but they had a few tricks up their sleeve. Prepare to engage, Ethan ordered. Deploy the scythe drones and activate the HUS platforms. The human ships launched swarms of small, agile attack drones, each armed with powerful plasma cutters. The drones swarmed the Cassan vessels, slicing through hulls and disabling critical systems. At the same time, dozens of automated weapon platforms, hastily constructed in Martian orbit using reverse-engineered Cassan tech, opened fire with devastating particle beams. The Cassan ships retaliated with a storm of missiles and energy blasts. Human vessels shattered under the onslaught, but not before taking dozens of enemy ships with them. As the battle raged, Ethan saw an opportunity. The Pridefire, Emperor Janus's flagship, was exposed. Commander Reeves, gather your strike team, Ethan ordered. We're boarding the Pridefire. Ethan and a dozen Marines donned armored exosuits and boarded a cloaked assault shuttle. They rocketed towards the Pridefire, dodging debris and weapons fire. The shuttle latched onto the Pridefire's hull, cutting through with plasma torches. Ethan and his team stormed in, engaging Cassan soldiers in vicious close-quarters combat. Plasma rifles flashed as claws met titanium blades. Fighting their way to the bridge, Ethan confronted Emperor Janus. The feline ruler sneered. Foolish humans. Janus laughed. Your resistance is futile. While you struggle here, our true target is the colony of New Haven. Did you think we wouldn't learn of it? Ethan's blood ran cold. New Haven was humanity's ace in the hole, a hidden, heavily fortified world. If the Cassan took it, in a brutal melee, Ethan's team cut down Janus's guards and subdued the Emperor. Call off the attack, Ethan demanded, holding a plasma pistol to Janus's head. Order your ships to allow us to withdraw. Janus snarled but complied. The Cassan fleet held fire as the human ships, the Pridefire and Tau, pulled back to FTL jump range. But Ethan had one last gambit. As the human fleet leaped into hyperspace, they released the Pridefire at the last instant, leaving Janus stranded light years from his armada. The UNS Defiant and its battered companion ships emerged in the New Haven system. Ethan rushed to warn the unsuspecting colonists. In the command bunker, Ethan met with colonial leaders. The Cassans are coming, he said grimly. And they're out for blood. We need to fortify every inch of this planet. Over the next days, the colonists worked furiously, digging trenches, erecting gun emplacements, and rigging traps. They knew they couldn't beat the Cassans in open battle. We'll bleed them, Ethan told the colonial militia. We'll hit their landing zones, ambush their patrols, and sabotage their supplies. We'll make them pay for every step with blood and fire. As the Cassan fleet emerged in system, disgorging landing ships, Ethan steeled himself. There would be no surrender, no mercy. The humans would fight to the last breath, and if New Haven burned, it would be the costliest victory the Cassans ever won. The Siege of New Haven. The Cassan invasion fleet loomed over New Haven, a menacing wall of steel and energy weapons. Ethan Kennedy stood in the command center, his face lit by the glow of tactical displays. He turned to his officers. All right, people, this is it. Launch Operation Mosquito. Across New Haven's spaceports, squadrons of nimble strike fighters roared to life. Major Frank Castle climbed into his cockpit, strapping in and running pre-flight checks. Wolf Squadron, form up on me, Castle barked over the comms. We hit hard and fast, then bug out. Don't let those bastards lock on. The fighters streaked into orbit, weaving through debris fields and incoming fire. Castle's fingers danced over his controls as he dove towards a Cassan cruiser, plasma cannons blazing. Explosions blossomed across the enemy hull. Good hits. Break off and regroup for another pass, Castle ordered. For hours, the human fighters harassed the Cassan fleet, inflicting damage and evading return fire. But it wasn't enough. Emperor Janus paced his flagship's bridge, tail lashing in fury. Enough of this nonsense. Commence full planetary bombardment. I want those cities turned to ash. Massive dreadnoughts moved into position, their main guns charging with sickly green energy. Then, hell rained down on New Haven. Ethan watched in horror as the orbital strikes hit. Entire city blocks vaporized in seconds, millions of lives snuffed out in flashes of light. "Get those evacuation ships moving now," Ethan shouted. "We need to get as many people underground as we can." As New Haven burned, frantic civilians poured into subterranean shelters and cave systems. But even as they fled below, a new threat emerged. Cassan dropships released canisters of a deadly pathogen into the atmosphere. Within hours, reports flooded in of people coughing up blood, their skin blistering and peeling. In an underground lab, Ethan met with New Haven's top scientists. "How bad is it?" he asked. Dr. Amelia Chen's face was grim. "The bioweapon is advancing faster than we anticipated. At this rate, we have less than a week of breathable air left." Ethan's mind raced. There had to be a way out of this hell. His eyes fell on a diagram of New Haven's power grid. "Doctor, what would happen if we overloaded all of our reactors simultaneously?" Chen's eyes widened. "The energy release would be catastrophic." "You're not seriously considering." "I am," Ethan said firmly. "If we're going down, we're taking those bastards with us." Over the next days, as Cassan ground forces advanced, human technicians worked in secret. They rigged fail-safes, bypassed safety systems, and prepared for the ultimate sacrifice. Ethan broadcast a message planet-wide. "All remaining personnel, fall back to the deep shelters immediately." This is not a drill. With trembling hands, he opened a channel to the Cassan fleet. Emperor Janus's sneering face appeared on screen. "Come to beg for mercy, human." Ethan's voice was steel. "No. I've come to tell you that if you want New Haven, you can have it, along with a little going-away present." He slammed his hand down on the detonator. In that instant, New Haven became an inferno. The planet's entire energy grid released its power at once. A blinding flash engulfed everything. The shockwave obliterated Cassan soldiers and vaporized their ships in orbit. When the light faded, New Haven was a scorched, radioactive wasteland, but the Cassan invasion force was no more. The aftermath. The acrid stench of burning electronics and scorched metal filled the air as Ethan Kennedy stepped onto the bridge of the UNS Defiant. Smoke still curled from damaged consoles, a grim reminder of their Pyrrhic victory at New Haven. Crew members nursed injuries or stared blankly at flickering displays, the weight of their sacrifice evident in their eyes. Ethan cleared his throat, drawing their attention. "We've dealt the Cassans a blow they won't soon forget," he said, his voice carrying across the silent bridge. "New Haven is gone, but so is a significant portion of the Cassan fleet. We've created an opportunity, and by God, we're going to seize it." He strode to the central holo table, activating a star map. 3 pulsing red dots appeared, representing key Cassan targets. Intelligence recovered from Janus's flagship has given us the locations of critical Cassan infrastructure. We hit these hard and fast before they can regroup. Major Frank Castle leaned in, studying the map. "Sir, those are deep in Cassan space. It's suicide." "It's our only chance," Ethan countered. "We split into 3 task forces. Castle, you'll lead the assault on the Janus Systems shipyards. I'll take a fleet to ambush their supply lines in the Zeta Nebula. Admiral Nguyen will strike at Felus Prime itself." Murmurs of disbelief rippled through the bridge crew. Ethan raised his hand for silence. "I know it sounds impossible, but the Cassans are reeling, overextended. We hit them now, and we might just break their ability to wage this war." Hours later, Major Castle's task force approached the Janus system. The shipyards were heavily defended, but the element of surprise was on their side. Castle's fighters launched a lightning assault, strafing the docks and sabotaging construction facilities. Explosions rippled through the shipyards as Cassan defenders scrambled to respond. Meanwhile, Ithan's fleet emerged from hyperspace in the Zeta Nebula. The Cassan supply convoy was caught off guard. Human warships unleashed a devastating barrage, obliterating transport vessels and crippling their supply chain. Amidst the chaos, Ithan's flagship targeted a Cassan battlecruiser, tearing through its defenses with relentless precision. Back on Felis Prime, Admiral Nguyen's fleet faced fierce resistance. The Cassan capital was a fortress, its orbital defenses bristling with weaponry. But Nguyen's ships pressed on, exploiting every weakness. Human commandos infiltrated the planetary defense grid, sabotaging power relays and causing widespread blackouts. As the battles raged across Cassan space, the tide began to turn. Reports flooded in of Cassan forces retreating, their lines faltering under the relentless human assault. The strategy had worked. The Cassan Empire was on the defensive. Turning the tide. The news of the human victory spread like wildfire, igniting hope across the beleaguered human colonies. The Cassan Empire, once an unstoppable juggernaut, was now reeling from the unexpected ferocity of human resistance. Earth's leaders seized the moment to rally their people and solidify their defenses. President Luron addressed the United Nations, her voice resolute. "We have struck a blow to our oppressors, but the fight is far from over. We must continue to stand united, to fight for our freedom and our future. The Cassans will not relent, and neither will we." In the weeks that followed, human shipyards worked around the clock, churning out new warships and upgrading existing ones. Scientists and engineers collaborated to develop advanced technologies. Reverse engineering captured Cassan equipment to bolster their own capabilities. The spirit of innovation and determination permeated every aspect of the war effort. Ethan Kennedy, now a symbol of human defiance, continued to lead from the front lines. His tactical acumen and unyielding resolve inspired those around him. Major Castle, Admiral Nguyen, and countless others followed his example, driving their forces with relentless determination. The Cassans, desperate to regain their footing, launched a series of counteroffensives. They targeted human supply lines, staging ambushes and launching surprise attacks. But the humans, bolstered by their recent successes, were ready. They adapted quickly, using guerrilla tactics and hit-and-run strategies to keep the Cassans off balance. Ethan stood on the bridge of the UNS Defiant, monitoring the situation. Reports of skirmishes and victories streamed in from across the front. The Cassans were throwing everything they had at the humans, but it wasn't enough. The tide had turned, and humanity was on the offensive. In the midst of the chaos, a message arrived from an unexpected source. A group of Cassan dissidents, opposed to Emperor Janus's tyrannical rule, sought to defect. They offered critical intelligence and technological secrets in exchange for asylum. It was a risky proposition, but Ethan saw the potential. "Send a team to extract them," Ethan ordered. "This could be the break we need." The extraction mission was fraught with danger. Human operatives infiltrated Cassan territory, navigating a labyrinth of security measures and hostile patrols. They reached the dissidents, a small group of scientists and military officers, and led them to safety. The information they provided was invaluable, revealing weaknesses in the Cassan defenses and offering new avenues for attack. With the new intelligence in hand, Earth's leaders devised a bold plan. They would strike at the heart of the Cassan Empire, targeting critical infrastructure and command centers. The goal was to disrupt their chain of command and cripple their ability to wage war. As the human fleets prepared for the final assault, Ethan addressed his crew. "This is our moment," he said, his voice steady. "We fought long and hard, and now we stand on the brink of victory. Let's finish what we started, for Earth and for all humanity." The final assault. The human fleets surged forward, their ships slicing through the void with lethal precision. The Cassan defenses, already weakened by previous engagements, struggled to mount an effective resistance. The element of surprise, combined with the newfound intelligence, gave the humans a decisive advantage. Admiral Nguyen's fleet spearheaded the assault on Phyllis Prime. The Cassan capital was a formidable fortress, its orbital defenses bristling with weaponry. But the humans pressed on, exploiting every weakness and creating new ones. Human commandos infiltrated the planetary defense grid, sabotaging power relays and causing widespread blackouts. In the Jana system, Major Castle's forces launched a coordinated strike against the shipyards. The once thriving construction facilities were reduced to smoldering ruins, halting the production of new Cassan warships. Castle's fighters strafed the docks, targeting critical infrastructure and ensuring that the Cassans could not rebuild quickly. Meanwhile, Ethan Kennedy led the charge in the Zeta Nebula, targeting the Cassan supply lines. His fleet struck with surgical precision, obliterating transport vessels and crippling their logistics network. Amidst the chaos, Ethan's flagship engaged a Cassan battlecruiser, tearing through its defenses with relentless precision. As the battles raged, the Cassan Empire began to crumble. Reports flooded in of Cassan forces retreating, their lines faltering under the relentless human assault. The strategy had worked. The Cassan Empire was on the defensive. Emperor Janus, now cornered and desperate, made a final, frantic attempt to rally his forces. He broadcast a message to his people, urging them to fight to the last breath. But the Cassan resolve had been shattered. The sight of their once mighty empire in tatters was too much to bear. In a last-ditch effort, Janus ordered a full-scale invasion of Earth. He hoped to crush human morale by attacking their home world directly. But the humans were ready. Earth's defenses had been bolstered, and every able-bodied person was prepared to fight. As the Cassan fleet approached, Earth's ships moved to intercept. The skies above the planet erupted in a maelstrom of fire and steel. Human and Cassan vessels clashed in a titanic struggle, the fate of both species hanging in the balance. Ethan's voice rang out over the comms. "Hold the line. For Earth, for humanity, for our future." The battle was fierce, but the humans fought with unmatched tenacity. They knew what was at stake, and they would not yield. Slowly but surely, the Cassan fleet began to break. Their ships, once symbols of fear and oppression, now drifted as lifeless hulks. In a final act of defiance, Emperor Janus himself led a boarding party onto the UNS Defiant. The Cassan ruler, once so confident and powerful, now faced Ethan Kennedy in a climactic showdown. Plasma rifles flashed, and claws met titanium blades as the two leaders clashed. Ethan's determination proved stronger. With a final, decisive strike, he brought Janus to his knees. The Cassan Emperor's eyes were filled with a mixture of rage and despair. You cannot win," he hissed. "We already have," Ethan replied, his voice cold. "Your empire is finished." As Janus fell, the last vestiges of Cassan resistance crumbled. The human victory was complete. A new dawn. With the Cassan Empire defeated, humanity stood at a crossroads. The war had been long and brutal, but it had forged a new sense of unity and purpose. The people of Earth and their colonies looked to the future with hope and determination. Ethan Kennedy, now hailed as a hero, addressed a crowd of jubilant citizens. "We have faced the darkness and emerged victorious," he said. "We have shown that our spirit, our courage, and our ingenuity are unmatched. Let this victory be a testament to what humanity can achieve when we stand together." The rebuilding process was monumental. Cities devastated by the war were slowly restored, and new settlements sprang up in the wake of the conflict. The lessons learned and technologies developed during the war paved the way for a new era of exploration and cooperation. The Cassan dissidents who had defected were granted asylum and integrated into human society. Their knowledge and expertise proved invaluable in rebuilding and advancing technology. Former enemies now worked side by side, united by a common goal: to create a better future for all. Earth's leaders established the United Galactic Council, a coalition of species dedicated to peace, cooperation, and mutual prosperity. The scars of war would never be forgotten, but they served as a reminder of the resilience and strength that defined humanity. Ethan Kennedy, though wary from the trials he had faced, continued to serve as an ambassador for peace. He traveled across the galaxy, forging alliances and promoting understanding between species. His legacy, and that of those who had fought and sacrificed, would endure for generations. In the quiet moments, Ethan reflected on the journey that had brought them here. The battles, the losses, the victories, they were all part of a greater tapestry. And as he looked to the stars, he knew that humanity's story was far from over. There were new worlds to explore, new challenges to face, and new horizons to reach. With a renewed sense of purpose, humanity embarked on the next chapter of its journey. The future was theirs to shape, and they were ready to embrace it with open hearts and minds. For Earth, for the galaxy, and for the boundless possibilities that lay ahead.